So Nanoleaf just sent me some of their new lines, which is a great new wall decoration from Nanoleaf, similar to their shapes, which I've talked about previously on this channel. They support thread as a thread border router. Let's go ahead and unbox these and get them set up. Now, Nanoleaf's pricing for the lines is very similar to what they do with shapes. They have a smarter kit, which is basically a starter kit and has everything you need. And that comes with 9 line segments and costs $199 US. Now, they also sell an expansion pack, which they sent me, and that's $70 for 3 additional line segments. Nanoleaf Lines take the company's existing strength of colored lighting and turn it the other way around. Instead of the lights facing out into the room, they reflect on the wall. This creates what I think are one of Nanoleaf's coolest looking products yet. But they can be tricky to install if you don't pay attention to the details while assembling. First, you need to figure out the pattern you want in your space. Nanoleaf supplies a card with a list of ideas. I laid mine out in a variety of different patterns for a while to figure out what I like. Then you need to assemble them into larger pieces, remove the adhesive, and attach them onto your wall. All right, so it's the next morning. Here, let me get some more light on me. I decided that I liked having my desk set up back to the way it was before. So I went ahead and moved my desk from directly behind me to the side, and then I also decided the reason for this is that then the Nanoleaf Lines have this huge wall on the back behind me here. I only have this morning until I need this office functional to start work for today. And so now my Nanoleaf Lines are here, and I've been using them for about a day after I installed them this morning with this new office setup. Of course, I always have to have new office setups. I don't know what it is with me of wanting to like kind of redo my desk all the time, but hey, I guess there are worse hobbies to have. But the important part is you don't want to make some dumb mistakes like I did in the process of setting these up, and it'll make the installation for you a lot easier. And I also want to tell you what I think about some of the things I like and don't like about these Nanoleaf Lines. So first, while you lay out your design on the floor, you need to get some good measurements to figure out how it's going to fit on your wall, of course. And one of the key parts of that you can't forget is to include the little apex points as you're doing that design on the floor, because those will influence your measurement and help you get the exact right size that you're going to have on your wall. And while you're doing that, you also want to figure out which point you want your power to be connected to, because it's really way better if you just do that up front and then you don't have to like re-change anything to get the power to be on the spot you want, unlike the Nanoleaf shapes where you have a lot more flexibility of where the power goes. Now, as you're attaching the points to the wall, Nanoleaf recommends that you pre-assemble pieces of whatever creation you're making on the floor and then put them together up on the wall, and that's great. But as you're doing that, you want to attach each one of the spots to the wall one by one, because there's a little bit of give in the lines and how they attach to the points. And if you're not careful, you can end up with lines that are crooked or a little bit askew from what you expect to have in your design. So you want to make sure that the points are lined up just right so that each of the lines fits evenly within the little spots in those points. And so then once you've done that for your different pieces and you have that all on the wall, it's time to place the little covers on those points. And one of those points needs to be your control panel. So you can just decide which makes the most sense for you for ease of access and look of the overall creation. And then just once you put that on, you can put the other covers on and be sure that all the points are pressed firmly into the wall and you're good to go. And when you're done with it, I think you get a really nice finished product. I love the look of Nanoleaf Lines both on and off. I think they look really nice on a wall, particularly in a room where you might have white as an accent color or some kind of a color you're already working with. To have white Nanoleaf Lines looks great. And the company's also selling some skins you can put on them as well, so you can change the color of the outside of the lines to fit your decor if you need to. And so I just think that these look way better on the wall when they're off compared to Nanoleaf shapes. So if you're looking to put some of these in your home in an area where they might be off a lot of the time and maybe an area where people go frequently, I would definitely prefer lines to Nanoleaf shapes. Now, like a lot of newer Nanoleaf products, these work as what's called a thread border router. They support thread so they can help connect other thread devices to the internet. And there's even a spot inside of the Nanoleaf app now where you can connect your Eero account so that you can have your Eero routers that have Thread radios in them also work with your Nanoleaf products that support Thread, and that all talks together. Now, of course, in the Matter connected home future world, all Thread devices that support Matter will be able to talk to each other, but we need some of these workarounds like connecting your Eero account for the time being to get some more advantages of Thread, particularly between things that maybe aren't always talking to HomeKit in the same way. Now, the adhesive is another thing I want to talk about, because in the past I've heard plenty of people say they have no problems with the Nanoleaf adhesive on the shapes line, but when I had to move my shapes earlier this summer, I did have a little bit of trouble getting it off of my drywall, and I ended up switching to command strips for attaching those shapes to the wall, and that works really well, and I had no problem moving them again for this new office setup. Now, with the Nanoleaf Lines, they have a smaller version of their adhesive, and they have a really cool way that you can sort of peel it off from behind the plate. And when I had to move some of the points as I was setting up my lines, I had no problems removing that adhesive and getting it off the wall. So I think that's great. Now, the downside is that you kind of are left with this crumpled up piece of adhesive, and so you got to use something new to secure your point to the wall at that point. But you know, they do ship an extra adhesive pad in the box if you mess up once, and I was able to cut down one of the small command strips to be adhesive for one of the points when I actually needed an extra one as well. And speaking of adhesive and other parts of this, there is a little bit of a separate power unit between the actual power supply that goes into the outlet and the brick on the lines itself. And they also supply a piece of adhesive that you can use to attach that wherever you need to. So if you're trying to run the wire somewhere where it's kind of concealed and you have this brick there in the middle that's really not that big, but it is nice just to see Nanoleaf thought through some of the details there. And one of the other details I really like is that you can actually turn the little points once they're secured to the wall. So if you need that to line things up just right, it does give you that flexibility after the point is already on the wall. I didn't mention setting up these with the Nanoleaf app earlier. That is as smooth and as usual as you might expect. You just scan the code that's either on the manual or on the power supply, and then you can just add it to HomeKit right through the Nanoleaf app, and then also add it to your Nanoleaf account if you're doing all of that with loading different Nanoleaf presets. Now, one of the biggest downsides and annoyances I have is that whenever I launch the Nanoleaf app, it keeps creating scenes for me of scenes that I've liked or favorited inside of the Nanoleaf app. It'll just create all of those inside of my office room in Apple HomeKit. And so then I'll go set up something in the Nanoleaf app, and then I'll get like literally 10 or 15 different scenes in Apple HomeKit, and that is not what I want. I want to be able to take a scene in HomeKit and then tell the Nanoleaf app, hey, I want this behavior from the Nanoleaf app to be associated with my scene that I've created outside the Nanoleaf app and given my own custom name to. I've been looking around the app and looking at online, and I can't seem to find a clear answer of how to turn this off or stop this from happening. But if you out there know of a solution, let me know in the comments. I'd love to find out. Now, one of the cool things I've always said about smart home tech is that when you're automating your lights, you're able to control way more than just the ceiling lights above you. And these colored lights from Nanoleaf are a great example of that, where you can add so much color and vibrance and activity to a space, and you can so easily control it while doing other things in your smart home. So it's not even like extra work to turn it on. So I think adding something like this to your home is just a really great addition to any room, and it adds a really cool dimension, another layer. It's a great conversation piece. And I think that that's true of a lot of Nanoleaf's products, but these lines I really like as, I think, the next best thing. They're a little tricky to install, but I totally recommend if you're looking at any of the different Nanoleaf products. My pick in general at this point would be Lines. I think they're a really great option, not only because they look great when they're on, but also because they look great when they're off. Now, Nanoleaf not only makes colored panels that go on your wall, but they also have some really great smart bulbs and light strips and some other products. And so I talk about those along with a number of other products that support
Thread, which is the new future wireless standard in your home, in this video on your screen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos on improving your Apple Home. Thanks again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.